Hi, it's Etharal here for EGN, and today we're back with our Warhammer Crusader Kings 2 Let's Play as House Lyrith, and we are playing obviously as always as Tythalia. So we've advanced the game on quite a bit, about 20 years or so, so we've got a lot of claims and things like that to do for this episode. Here we are starting off with the war for the Drake Isles. That is the Isles to the south of our capital. We've managed to get all the claims for both of the duchies that are still under the rule of princes underneath Moranion, the High Prince of Yvresse. So we're about to get into a really good place, and we've got a lot to do for this episode. So going to have it a little bit shorter than that. We're going to cut out all of the waiting time and everything like that. I've managed to do all of that in between the games here. So we're going to kick off with moving our assembled armies into his lands and start to take over some area. As you can see there, we've obviously got quite a large army that Tythalia is able to call on now. She can call on over sort of 6,500 to 7,000 or so troops in Ulthuan alone. Obviously can pull in another good 2,000 or so actually from the old world if she was able to do it, if she did need to. So this is very much going to be pretty much a steamroller, I think it's safe to say, to these other princes. As you can see obviously in the top right corner, Tythalia has of her sort of 4,600 war score. She is pretty much the main person really in Yvresse now, and she pretty much calls all the shots. If there was something that she didn't like, then it is safe to say that the king or the prince, sorry, or the high prince, even when he comes out, is not going to be able to actually do anything to stop her. So we've expanded a lot of our lands, done a lot of improvements and everything like that to various cities, so we can build up, the number of forces that we can bring to bear, both from ourselves and claiming them from our vassals. That's been the main focus for myself for the last sort of 20 years or so in terms of the game time. And so while doing that, obviously we've been, getting the odd claim and things like that to basically be able to put us in a position to be able to start doing, well, basically pretty much this episode, where there's going to be a very big change around in Yvresse and how everything works. So we are using our ships to be able to keep this army nice and mobile. Obviously Tythalia is still ruling from her sort of main capital. She doesn't lead any armies in this. She's obviously wanting to make sure that she actually survives to be able to become the High Princess of Yvresse. I think it's something that is now very much near enough within her grasp. So she's going to keep moving these armies on, and the main way that she's managing to do all this is pretty much through battles, to be honest, in this campaign. So there's not as much taking and besieging of cities as there has been in obviously her past fights when she has been actually moving into the humans. They've been a lot more static. The elves here seem to be a lot more flexible in that, and so we are just obviously going to start, though, however, trying to look at getting some stuff in the actual old world as well, though, never hurts to be able to expand our borders over there. I think it's when we get Yvresse that is going to be the main focus for us, but that is obviously something that is up to you as well. If there is anything that you do want me to do in the later episodes, please do feel free to leave a comment. So you can see here we are up to 97% war score, and there we go, 100. We have now managed to take the Drake Isles. So we have also decided that one thing we are going to do is obviously when we obviously assign these troops around, we are actually going to look at giving these to somebody, a distant relation in our family, bring in one of the earlier generations, as obviously one thing we have realised is basically that obviously the actual elves themselves, obviously because they are so long lived, it's a case that this person is going to potentially be ruling this area for centuries and that, so there's less shift around with the holds when you give them to people, particularly like this guy who's only 15, so when they're young. So obviously that is something that we will obviously want to make sure that as many of House Lyrith are getting lands as possible. It just generally works for us in the long run, and obviously makes our family a lot more important, and obviously they are somebody who are more likely to trust me if they are actually actually kinsmen and be happy with my rule. Obviously, rather than the lands that we do have on the south on the mainland, where obviously that is ruled by somebody where we usurp the title from them. So they are people that are not too happy with us, to say the least. Still, they do definitely still remember what we have done to them in the past. And so as you can see there, we could get up to a total of 10,000 men to bring to bear if we did need it. But we are now going to start off our war for the Shifting Isles, and so this war is take a little bit longer. They are in a little better position than the Drake Isles have sort of a lot more land. There's actually about 5 different holds that they can actually bring to bear worth of troops for this. So this is something that is going to be a very good thing for us to take down, though obviously from Moranion, as it is a case where we actually now, once we are able to get this land, we would actually be able to outnumber the amount of men that he would actually be able to claim, although our Liege Lord, the High Prince of Yvresse, is actually mainly his forces do actually come from his vassals. So I'm pretty sure that if we were to revolt against him now, then it would actually be a case that we would outnumber him. However, he does have some allies in that he could call in potentially, so we're going to, make sure that we definitely try and, get as many of our men as possible, and that way hopefully it will be a case we will still be balancing him out, and obviously then is well, outnumbering him, and then if he does bring in any actual outside allies and things like that, then we will be pretty much balanced, and we can hopefully manage to still be able to keep our own on that. Although exactly when it is that we do that will still remain to be seen, and we shall work that out at a later date. Of course, if you do want to actually see all of those events and everything as they're unfolding, I will just mention that please do be sure to subscribe, as we obviously put these videos out these at least once a week, and have a load of other ones for you to be able to watch. And if you're obviously enjoying the series, I am focusing more on the roleplay side of things in these games. It's something that I obviously really enjoy, and I have a habit of doing, making sort of little plans up in my head of what's happening and things like that. But as you can see here, they for the Shifting Isles have managed to bring in a force of 4,000 elves that they tried to attack us. That's not something that we can allow, so we are going to bring in some extra forces, as we have lost quite a large portion of our men and our elves, and so we are going to have to return the favour to them. We've managed to obviously crush their army, and now we're going to start looking at bringing in some support from our southern Ulthuan lands here. So this war is going to go pretty sort of steadily here. Obviously they do have still a good couple of lands where they can bring up new vassal and levy troops, and so that's something that might take us a little bit longer than the Shifting Isles, which are obviously more focused on just sort of the 3 different areas. So one thing I have realised as well, as I've been doing this game, that obviously because of the elves, because of the nature of them, because they live obviously for centuries in this game, that it is actually a case that, to be honest, to be able to expand as the elves, the only way that you can do it is actually basically by creating claims and war. And so you see here we are obviously bringing in our forces from the old world just to be able to help them to actually support this war in Ulthuan. But as I was saying though, obviously that does mean it does take out a big portion of the game, which is a bit of a shame really, as obviously one of the big fun things of this game that I've experienced with other playthroughs when I played the base game, and that is obviously being able to bring suddenly whole new lands to bear by a clever marriage to say a queen or a duchess to your leader, and then obviously your heir will eventually get the claims to both of the lands, which obviously is a really nice way to actually be able to expand peacefully, which is not something unfortunately that the elves in this game are actually able to do, which is obviously is a big shame, but it's something that it's just the nature of the elves. Obviously I imagine if you do play obviously as say the Empire or even the dwarves, who while are obviously I do believe are more long lived than humans, they're not as long lived as the elves, so they are something that could still be able to sort of able to sort of have a bit of movement around with their lands and things like that. Although it's something that I am going to think about doing in the future, maybe trying out either on this one, or I am considering either the Elder Kings or Clash of Kings, so that's the Game of Thrones or Elder Scrolls mods, and so I'm considering actually having them and, you know, obviously running a human through with them, so that way we can do a little bit more of the peaceful expansion and things like that, obviously, for this game. Is one of the advantages, though, the Elves do have, is anybody who has played these games will well know that when you actually do manage to change your rulers and that, there tends to be quite a tense period of, you know, civil wars and things like that, as people aren't necessarily trusting of the new ruler. But that is obviously not something that the Elves are really having to deal with in this actual game. So this is all going pretty well. We are managing to grind them down steadily, getting to sort of 94% on the war score here. Oh, there we go, up to 96%. So I don't think this is going to take too much longer, and we will be able to claim the Shifting Isles as well for House Ellereth. And so Tythalia here is pretty much, obviously she is actually having to deal with a besiegement by some raiders in her lands, but so she's sort of trusting on her generals, these two. The one in the middle certainly very good, the one on the left flank isn't bad, the one on, however, the right flank of our army is he leaves something to be desired. We should probably change him around, but to be honest, this is pretty much just mopping up the end of this war. So, you know, we'll leave him as is for the time being. We decided to. Obviously, this is something that I've already gone through, edited, and is, as always, at double times speed. Have reduced down the actual time for the Let's Play itself. Obviously, though, I want to try and keep in the action as much as possible and not as much of the waiting around. So, now it is a very much a case that we do have a couple of options with this war finally being over, and Tythalia having managed to claim the title of the Duchy, or the March, sorry, of the Shifting Isles, which we are going to give to another one of our descendants here. We're looking over right on sort of the far side of things, and so here you can see our guy Mathrin is going to be getting all of the Shifting Isles. He is going to very quickly become quite a powerful little, in effect, prince here, although he is still classed as a lord, but that will change around soon enough if we do manage to claim Yvresse and manage to be able to make ourselves a kingdom and then start handing out actual duchies and things like that, obviously. Now, obviously, we do have a couple of options here. We are, in effect, pretty much, we are the Shadow Throne of Yvresse. I think it's safe to say we rule in all but name, and likely now could very easily obviously supplant Moranion if we did so choose. And we do have a couple of options though. We can look at starting to possibly claim our independence and be able, well, not our direct independence, but our independence from Moranion. We could also as well look at actually getting claims on Moranion's land and being able to expand and just be able to create the kingdom, and without actually having to declare a war for independence, effectively take over the whole kingdom ourselves. Or also as well, we could look at expanding into the old world. So there is, you know, a good couple of options for what we really could do, and there is some other options. There is things I've considered, like going into the Chaos Wastes in the north and things like that if we did want to, as they are quite fragmented, and maybe, you know, expand in that sense. And it's obviously entirely up to yourselves though. If there's anything that you do want to see me doing though, please do be sure to obviously, you know, leave a comment below, and we'll be more than happy to, you know, take any suggestions on board, give some stuff a try out if it is something that you are interested in. And however though, for the next game at the minute though, I think that I am going to be looking at focusing on potentially skip ahead by another sort of 10 years or so, maybe hopefully be able to get the claims to actually be able to take the rest of Yvresse. I think is going to be the main focus for me, and hopefully then we will actually be able to finally be able to get our desire that we must have had for around about a century or so now of hoping to become that High Princess. And fingers crossed that should all go reasonably well though. So this is pretty much, just can see how obviously state of the world here. I'm obviously having a look here at the Dark Elves, somebody we could also look at moving in and actually focus on our age-old enemy. You will notice here that Nagorond has not got Malekith. He actually actually died under suspicious circumstances. So I think it's safe to say that he was maybe actually murdered, which is actually a nice sort of thing. And there we go. We've had a plot going on there down our main line of the family. Basically, our great-great-grandson or something along those sort of lines is married to a woman who unfortunately is infertile and isn't able to give him some child, so that would actually be the end of the line, which is something that we have been trying to get the plot sorted to be able to get that all done. But obviously that is something that we will, cover off on in another episode. So that is pretty much everything for me for today then. So I will just say obviously that thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it, and this has hopefully been a little bit better, sort of denser packed episode for you. Be sure obviously to subscribe to see how Tythalia will get on in the next episode. And as I say, thank you very much for watching. I've been Etharal here for EGen, and I shall see you next time.